can see Bonnie being chapped sometime.
I've written before about Waffle House, and I'd be surprised if a lot of people traveling through the South haven't visited a Waffle House. But have you ever eaten at the counter in front of or to the left side of the kitchen? It's pure entertainment, unlike anything around. And you get to load up on the two most important Southern food groups, grease and sodium. So she who must be obeyed and I stopped by our local Waffle House around 10:30 the day after Christmas and grabbed 2 seats to the left of the kitchen area. You know, if you want a full, unfettered view of employee activity, they're the best seats in the house. The only drawback is you don't get the kind of oral quality as the stools directly in front. There's some benefits to the front seats, I have to admit. You're immediately behind the cook, who's kind of like an air traffic controller in that he, and I have noticed it's usually a he, rarely ever gets a break from the grill. His work area is about 10 square feet, and there seems to always be a waitress bellowing out an order.
Medium rare.
Sometimes more than one at the same time. I tell you, I'd rather be an air traffic controller than less stress by far. Waffle House was born in suburban Atlanta in 1955. It now has over 2,000 locations in 25 states. And they're all open 24 hours, which gave birth to the legend that their doors have no locks. When I first moved to Atlanta in 1990, I was in an apartment before I bought a home. And the apartment was at an I-85 interchange that actually had a Waffle House on either side of the interstate. And I mentioned it to a colleague in curiosity, and he quietly explained that's because when they were built, it was unofficially understood. One was for the blacks, and one was for the whites. In the United States, the most important color back then, of course, was green.
I'm just waiting on them to put your hash browns on the plate.
Now, these days, both of those locations serve anyone who walks through the door, and in most locations, blacks and whites appear to work behind the counter in harmony. There's an unwritten rule about Waffle House waitresses. They must have at least one tattoo on an arm. Some of the older waitresses whose arms have taken on that extra meat around the biceps, which due to age tend to kind of flop around like the wobbly forced air tube people outside a car dealership. When those arms reach peak wobble, if there are any tattoos there, the waitress's movements allow the ink illustrations to take on a mind of their own. You know, they gyrate and huff and puff and teeter, as if ready to slither down to the elbows as the waitresses deliver half a dozen plates of food to a group of diners.
Well, 1 sausage, 1 bacon. Drop 2 hash brown starters.
The ladies all generally get along pretty well, but there are occasional hisses as pissy cats seem to do around one another. And the stories, between the good-natured banter between them and with the customers, it's just priceless. Once while we were in the mountains of North Carolina, that's bear country, we listened to one waitress tell another about her 8-year-old granddaughter shaping up to be a real outdoors girl. We's on a walk on the back 40 behind our house, walking the trail, and she spies a scat pile. She makes a beeline for it, cute as can be, squats down on her haunches and declares, "Mima, we got us a bear close by." I laughed and laughed, that little shit. Mima couldn't have been prouder of her little pioneer.
Morning, Ellen.
Like any eatery, or I should say greasery, most Waffle Houses have their regulars, and they're treated like family. Our last stop, a young man came in with 2 grade school-age daughters, and all 3 of them decked out in camo, including ball caps, and the waitresses all called out to him, "Hey, Dean, how's your mama and them? Your girls better stop growing. They're about to eat you out of house and home." She'd call over her shoulder, "Hey, Gladys, Dean here's with her 2 young'uns. Did the restocking come in yesterday? Otherwise, we could run out of food for these girls."
Somebody better get this pen, because them are one of my favorites.
When our nieces were in grade school, they loved a Saturday morning visit to Waffle House, where they'd head straight for the bar. Their eyes bug out watching the sodium and bacon grease ballet going on behind the counter, and they'd clap whenever they heard, "Order up," come from the cook. To me, it was a real sad day for us when they started calling it Waffle House, because before that they always referred to it as "Order up," as in, Hey, Aunt Mindy, Uncle John, can we go to order up this morning? My wife got what they call the Delmonico steak, which looks like a mini ribeye. She gave me a bite, and it was tender, and it was good.
Triple white, scattered, smothered, covered.
I had the Texas bacon patty melt. We both couldn't pass up the hash browns. Hers were scattered, smothered, and capped. Mine, scattered, smothered, covered, chunked, and countryed. That's with country gravy. Of course, with a Diet Coke. I mean, I've got to watch my girlish figure. Finally, with all the food consumed, I'm a proud member of the Waffle House Clean Plate Club. All our senses satiated, we paid and said our goodbyes and waddled out to the car. And home, where I promptly fell onto my side of the bed for a nap. Waffle Housing puts it in and takes it out of an old man.
Elizabeth, you don't notice that was your granddaughter's coach?
Well, I thought he looked familiar, but I wasn't going to say on that until I saw her.